Windows firewall. Windows firewall is probably the most reliant form of technology protection. Half of the time it doesn't work, and on the other half, it's like protecting your computer from an app that you usually run.
I guess I'm just gonna record from my desk because it won't have the PowerPoints in the background because it's or I can call and bug them. But pick up, guys. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Jason Mack. I'm in 1H04, and I am trying to use Zoom on my computer. I'm getting blocked by the Windows firewall because I was trying to record the lecture for all my students, and I can't use the computer. It worked last week, but it won't work now because of the Windows firewall. Can you help me remotely? Oh, it's not gonna help me today. Oh. And there's no one here at the main campus that could be sent over here and help. Oh, you can leave your post. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Okay.
When it's cold. That's not good.
Yeah, I have to.
It's because you're used to your country of being hot, right?
Very good.
Cold.
Just the quality of instruction is going to be lower today. All right. Do you, if you put a request in, would it be fixed by next week, by next Saturday? On the desktop? Let's do that. If you could, please. Mac, M-A-C-K. Jason.
I'm expecting till the 30 seconds.
Yeah, I can't put a password in for the window. It's a Windows firewall that's blocking me. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yep. Bye. Okay.
What happened?
We can't get to it till Monday. I can't log in remotely help you, even though I know they can do it because they did it at Westmont on Wednesday to all 30 computers in the room. I don't have access to that. I can't override the system. There's only one person here. I'm just blown away. Like, do you see the size of the buildings? Like, they have money. Like, they could have more people than one person.
For sure.
So I can record my voice, but it's hard to do and I might be able to do the PowerPoints, but it's hard sometimes to like do both screens. So
What is it? What's the turn it in assignment? Turn it in 2, 3. What is that?
that's nothing you have to worry about. That
Okay.
was so we have a crummy learning management system and like almost no budget at my day job because we only have a couple hundred students instead of this school where there's like 22,000 students. So I was trying to find a way to check for plagiarism using my COD classroom because there has been some widespread plagiarism at my day job. So I was trying to use Turnitin, but that's a thing that I created that I was not successfully able to delete because I made a copy of the course, which we'll see if we do that again. I might build it by scratch for spring. That's what you're looking at, but it won't affect your grade or anything. So just ignore it.
Oh, you know, the midterm is fixed.
Spoke to the guy on his cell phone. He has a 7-week-old that was delaying him on Friday. We're supposed to talk Monday or Tuesday, at which point, what it is the midterm has been deployed, but it's glitching between the two systems. So we have to reconnect and redeploy it. So I'll just add more time to the midterm. And I've sent that information to the wrong class. So the lifespan, they got extra time till Sunday on the midterm because I meant to send that to you guys. I'm like, well, guess I'm gonna honor my word. So what do you got?
Yeah, it's about the work I am doing.
Yeah.
Additionally, on that book, and I just missed couple of the chapters, and once you open up for me, but I am trying to do for 1 hour and like 1.5 hours, but it didn't grade us, like for the recharge,
The recharge is not worth points.
but still it shows me zero. So what can I do for that?
That usually means you missed the deadline. If I reopened it,
Still it's not graded.
it should auto grade. I need you to email me the specificity.
I already did.
Just like this morning,
Oh,
I thought I talked to you after class and helped you with that. Maybe I didn't.
What is it?
For the recharge, there are for one class, for one chapter, we do
Three assignments, yeah.
One assignment and one quiz, right?
Right,
So in the learning, there is a recharge, questions.
yeah,
Yeah, but once the due is gone, at that time, so once the professor is turn away of.
I'll open it for you. If I missed your email, I got buried or I didn't see it.
I tried 1.5 hours to solve every time, and I did 5 times for that, but it didn't grade up for me. So
I believe that's weird.
it clearly shows that whatever you are trying is just for your practice, and it's not for your credit, increase your credit.
Okay. I need an email or text of all the chapters and then I'll look at it. Can you resend that to me today?
Yeah, I will.
An email or a text, and then I will take care of that tonight or tomorrow. I'll do it before I get to Monday. And I'll tell you what's going on with it or unlock it, etc. It's not that I couldn't help you now. I just don't want to use a bunch of class time to look at assignments, but I'll take care of it in 24 to 40 hours or less. And you can send a follow-up email or whatever you like. If I don't, I will do it. But I'm saying like if it gets to Monday and for some reason I didn't do it, then bug me about it
It's
again.
already clear, and this this assignment is past you, I know that, and you already open it for me, and in this mode, you can continue practicing, but you will not be get credit, or your progress will not be recorded.
Okay. I want to get to the bottom of that, and it's multiple assignments. Right, it's more than one.
No, for chapter 1, chapter 8, and something like that. Couple of 3 or 4 chapters, or in and only in one part, I can face this problem,
I might be able to help you after class. If it's like if it's like 1, 2, or 3 chapters, I could probably look at that either on break or after class. If you don't have to run right away, I can just probably fix it without even an email.
I will see you.
Okay. We talk about motivation yet? I don't think we did. We were on cognition and language, right? I don't think we finished cognition and language, right? It's been 2 weeks, so I teach a lot of psych. Memory's a little fuzzy. I want to start where we left off.
we can, which week, sorry. Thank you.
I think we did this, right? I think we did all this. And then didn't we end with intelligence and the scary robot? Wasn't that what we did? Yeah, so I think I think our last slide was probably that one. Does that feel right? Not feel right?
We were talking about it.
I know we talked about IQ. The next thing would have been assessment, but I would have queued the video, so I think we would have stopped here.
We'll see.
I think it was with the robot, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, because so we would have stopped with intelligence. So now we're just talking about how we would measure it. So we have the Wechsler intelligence tests, which gives a verbal score and a performance score, as well as an overall score of intelligence. These are some questions that might get asked to measure intelligence. Working memory, index more examples of questions, simple search. Just ways we would do that. Can't screen share. You guys can hear me though. Hang on. Let me see if I can simultaneously get that to run Zoom, folks. I see you guys. You guys can email me though, because you weren't there. Yeah, that's probably correct. The way it's built though is between the Connect assignments and whatever we talk about, we will cover everything between the book and me. So we don't have to like we can cover the most interesting stuff or more stuff in detail. I have a few things that I usually use to enrich your guys' understanding besides just the slides. Hang on, Zoom folks, we'll like this. Share. Desktop. This window. Did I not literally not just tell that to download itself? So reliability, that is, remember those COVID checks that like never came in? They were incredibly unreliable. Validity is accuracy. Talked about that in week 1 a bit. Do the test actually measure what it's supposed to for validity? So like we want to have culture relevant tests. We can't ask somebody something from a different culture and then score their intelligence. That's like unfair. So reliability is like consistency or likelihood of consistency. The reason I use COVID checks to illustrate reliability is you couldn't count on it to come in every single month. It was real random. That's why it was unreliable. You always want to test as a minimum reliable, and it's even I bet a minimum valid because that means accurate, and you hope you can have one that's also reliable. If it's not valid, it's automatically unreliable. And things like the sample size, the number of people surveyed, there's a lot of things that can drive whether or not the test would be reliable. Usually you want about 20 or 30 people per variable on average. Does anyone on Zoom have a playbook they can present today? Zoom folks. not the people in the room. So standardization, the process of giving the test to a large group of people that raises that kind of people from the test is designed. Norms, scores from standardization group. Most intelligent tests follow a normal curve. When you say a normal curve, it means this. It has to do with the distribution of the scores. Talk about this, those standard deviations to actually shape what the curve looks like. These, the first standard deviation, the left and right of like the average. 68% of the scores fall here. 95% of the scores fall here. And I believe it's 96.7 falls in 3 standard deviations. That's how people tend to score. That's what makes the curve look like what it looks like. It's usually not skewed. Norm would be something that we would expect versus like normality, which is the or normal curve. So what would constitute intelligence would be a norm. We expect you to know fill in the blank by this age. Did they give you a bound textbook from the publisher? It has all the chapters in it.
Okay.
No, I can see it from there. Because my other job, they were like, no, you get same publisher. They're like, no, we're going to give you loose leaf unless you get rid of one of the chapters when you order it. So I'm blown away that you have a textbook. I think they're lying to me, the publisher. No, I don't need a textbook. I'm blown away that they're telling me different things at McGraw-Hill. That's all. I think it's wonderful you got.
Or you can order the text.
That literally they said that's not possible on Zoom. Same people. I think it's wonderful that it is possible if they keep saying different things to me. That's why I was like, you have a textbook. What? I don't know. I have rapport with a lot of them. I know the names of like their spouses and like their children. Like,
I'm one of those like.
no, I've been arguing for a textbook at my day job with McGraw-Hill, and they're like, well, we can't do that unless you get rid of some of the chapters. You can't have all the chapters, then it's loose leaf. And it's the same company. So maybe it has to do with the relationship with DuPage. I just think I'm just blown away you actually got a textbook. I think it's wonderful you got a textbook. They tell me different stories. Yeah. So these are our standard deviations.
You need
What?
to quit. It brings too much stress to your life. They probably don't even pay you enough, the stress that it brings you, between the boss and all that, you need to just.
No, I'm not going to take a 50-60% pay cut. I'm not doing that. Apparently my boss has my back. She's been doing sidebars with me for like 2 weeks now about title changes. Yeah, like how about supervisor? How about assistant department chair? What's the report to you? Give me something I put on my resume. So
I should have went to you before I got this flu vaccine, that's what that thing's getting myself on.
Found this on the web.
It's the mRNA. Sorry, you can't do it.
So you would see this. Those are the standard deviations every 15 points, like what I have over here: 100, 115, 130, 145, 85, 70, 55. That's going to be a measurable difference in intelligence. And when you think about deviations, it's sort of like the clumping of the scores, but you would see a marked difference like this. everybody at least somewhere in here. If grit affects intelligence, you're probably all going this direction. Because you're learning more stuff. Or some of you could be here, like, there's all these different ways. to measure intelligence, or you could be whatever, but the average, for everybody's around. There are some people that I read about that have like scores over 200 on the internet. They're all like working for governments and stuff. Yeah. There's like 5 to 7 people that have like over a 200 intelligence score.
How do they live life, or like what's different about them?
I read they were all working for governments around the world, different governments. So I don't know. I don't know how they live life.
Sounds like that.
Like that's not really their intelligence, or
Yeah, yeah.
They gotta be on systems.
they could be. Is that necessarily a bad thing?
No.
You would think that would be actually the evolution when you think about it, right? Neurocognitive divergence, that kind of makes sense. It's literally a graph what I was just talking about how the scores fall. We want to have cultural free tests in terms of potentially a cultural bias. Usefulness, usually predicting academic performance. But what if you're a bad test taker? You take the SAT or the ACT and you score okay, but you're still a rock star in college. Neuropsychology, head injury, learning disabilities, neuropsychological disorders. There was a guy that actually had a traumatic brain injury and he got smarter. It's incredibly unusual. He woke up from brain injury and like saw prisms around things and like understood math and never had training in math, which is incredibly unusual. This is an example of progressive matrices, like what comes next for testing intelligence. Intellectual disability or intellectual development disorder. Person exhibits deficits in mental ability and adaptive behavior. IQ falls below 70 or 2 standard deviations to the left. Generally severely deficient, adaptive behavior for environment, etc. For a person of particular chronological age. This is formally known as mental retardation or developmentally delayed.
That's crazy, because nowadays, like kids aren't really like, I mean, if there's something like, you don't hear mental retardation very often. You hear developmentally delayed or they have speech delay, but do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like back, like, I don't know how old you are, but like back, like me and my brother just had this like discussion, because it was like, we were growing up, I mean, people were mentally retarded, they weren't autistic, they weren't developmentally delayed, they didn't have speech delay, like it was either you were normal or you had mental retardation. Now, you don't hear mental retardation. The kids that are kind of like off on something are autistic.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
yeah, it's shifted. The vernacular, mental retardation, the verb was trying to explain the standard deviations, but it could be insulting or negative in terms of like how it could be stated. So if we really moved away from that, and you're right, and you can think about things like systemically, like screens, is that part of the problem? But then again, inflation is a bigger boogeyman in the room because boogeyman in the room because two parents come home and they're exhausted.
No, that's where you have parental control, so you can allow them to watch certain things. Like my kids, I only let them watch YouTube Kids when they were little. I did not let them watch YouTube at all. They were like up to like 10 years old. My
Okay.
son still watches YouTube Kids. And he learns a lot of like math and all that stuff. And he likes it. And I like it because it helps him. Well, I can't help him because I'm busy with work, school.
Okay.
So it helps me.
So the content is certainly a factor. I do have concerns about the internet and our access to it and how lazy we might be becoming as a society because the information's out there. And a lot of times at your fingertips, you can figure out whatever the thing is if you don't know it. And it's not accurate all the time, but a lot of the time it is. So these are the causes of intellectual disability, deprived environments. Literally, to your point you just said about what your kids were watching, they did not have a deprived environment. They had an enriched environment. Chromosome genetic disorders, alcohol, dietary deficiencies, and toxins in the environment. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the reason of high height of autism spectrum?
I don't know how they answer that. I think there's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear what, that's one of the doctors I work for, because we're in pediatrics.
That's an excellent question. Yeah. What did you find out?
He said it's like old sperm, like. I know.
People having children older,
Yes,
older men having children causing autism.
yes.
Okay. I could maybe see that, I guess.
I think some month ago, the president.
Right, tall guys. Go ahead.
Don't know if someone get it.
Drink bleach, you won't get cold.
And don't take Tylenol. Don't take Tylenol and drink bleach, okay?
I don't know how he became better, so I don't, because, I work with, American Taxi and sometimes we pick some students to school. I think it's a very, very hard, situation for the family, because I remember I picked one boy, he was so violent, opened the door, smash, going on. This is not easy life, man. That's what I thought, what's the reason of this? There's a lot of hate now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly.
But that's one of the things just insulting.
Old
It's
sperm.
old sperm.
I know.
But younger people have
A
autistic
lot,
kids, so
a
this is what
lot.
I don't understand.
Yeah, so
I'll have to like go back.
it's genetic and it's more diagnosed with men than women. So my chief academic officer is brilliant. The woman is incredibly sharp. She's an autistic child. I wonder sometimes that she's autistic. There's nothing that really tells me, but she's really, really smart. Not my direct supervisor, the asshole narcissist, her boss. She is crazy smart. Or you say your son?
Yeah. Like my son, I haven't taken him yet, but I feel like he gets very distracted easily. So I don't know his HDHD or autism, but I have to go get him checked. I haven't had the time. Yeah.
Did you speak?
I don't know, to diagnose somebody autistic, it's like a lot, like you have to see a neurosurgeon.
Yeah. And you got to be careful because there's no cure for autism. So as an adult, if you're autistic, insurance doesn't pay for it. And a lot of times bipolar is misdiagnosed for autism. Not always, but does happen.
Really?
Yeah, some people get diagnosed with bipolar and they're autistic. I have a friend who swears that she's autistic. She's self-diagnosed though. And then started making accommodations for herself based on the autism she believes she has. And then she said she had less stress with her life. So maybe. But there's a high correlation between autism and high intelligence. It doesn't mean that's always the case, but there's more highly intelligent people that are autistic than aren't, for example. And when we walked through that pinwheel before, is it the person managing it or masking because they're really smart versus like the stuff you were talking about a second ago? And Socrates, what do you guys think? Does giftedness guarantee success? If someone's a couple standard deviations, they're that sharp, does it guarantee success? Why or why not? Why?
Because it's all about how you apply yourself. I mean, there's a lot of really smart people out there that just make the wrong choices. And I think it's all about the choices you make.
Yeah. Do that. Is there more?
I mean, I feel like I was I was smarter when I was younger. I am now as an adult.
If you exercise the brain and the body, and you feel like something's, you can reverse that. If you feel like there's a decline, but maybe you're just saying you were just learning more when you were a kid, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like things are harder for me as an adult, like focus and like grasping things, memory. I mean, I'm not saying I have dementia, but like, I think when you become older, you pick and choose what you wanna hold on to and you don't wanna hold on to. You know what
Sure.
I mean? I mean, I have ADHD, so like, but even my kid, like, when I pick her up from school, like, she's like overstimulated, and then it overstimulates me, and there's like so much I can take, but I feel like if I was younger, I could do better with that overstimulation. Do you know what I'm saying or no?
Yeah. I think so. I get what you're saying.
But then again, it's like I have so much going on that it's almost makes me wonder if I'm only grasping certain things that I want to grasp of what somebody is saying.
It'd be active listening. Active listening is a real challenge. Active listening is paying attention to the entire thing before thinking about something else or your response, because then you miss stuff because the
Oh,
brain
I
can't
see.
multitask.
They have what you're even saying.
That could be part of it.
Yeah,
And it's a challenge for all of us. Like we can intellectually say, yeah, I get it, I should do this. It makes sense, but because we're electrical chemical systems, we get excited about something, or we're like, oh, I got this example that aligns with what you just said. I can't wait to share it. Now you just missed half what the rest of the thing was.
yeah.
So it's a challenge. Technology's been moving at like a lightning pace the last few decades too. So some of my parents have struggled with technology. I'm like, well, they had phones in the house and planes, but like they didn't even have the internet. So
No, but there was a hospital that just called me
Oh.
because my mom's got dementia and she's freaking out because she locked herself out of her phone. And so it's like a 2 hour or something, like she.
it's a 2 hour delay, yeah.
So then I was like, oh, the password is, like, I told her, she's like, oh, okay. Like, so just take the phone away. He's gonna keep doing it.
Oh, you had a rough week.
Yeah.
I'm concerned my dad's gonna end up with dementia because he refuses to take high blood pressure medication. And he's really overweight. And he thinks he can like go to a non-MD and do alternative medicine. Now there's not value to that, but he's been telling me some of the same stories lately, a lot. And I'm like, I don't want that. Just like I'm sure you don't want your mom to have it, but a side effect of not having good blood pressure is dementia.
Yeah, yeah, like, my mom, like, just repeats herself, like, with the same, like yesterday, it was like, what month is it? It's January. It's like tricky, cause like, she'll say it's January. And then she'll say 2 more months and 2025 is over. So she knows that, but then you ask her what year it is, and she'll say, like, she's stuck on, I don't know why, but she's stuck on 1996. She'll tell you it's 1996. It's just like the little things, like, yeah, I don't want that at all. Like, I don't know if that's like hereditary or what it is, but I don't want that. I used to think I wanted it, cause then you wouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But she knows what's going on, cause she was telling my brother, like, after like 5, like, same questions over and over, she's like, I'm losing my mind, it's like flying away, I can see it flying away.
Well, neuro, there is a block, a neurotransmitter block later in life. That pot room vent's getting blocked, by the way. Just saying. There's that too.
Yeah.
We may not remember who you are, but at least you know less. We may not remember the last 5 minutes. We may know who you are. There are ways. I think it's exercising the brain and the body, though. I don't know if your mom's doing that. If she's not, it's probably going to get worse. If she were to do that, it would probably get better. There's a lot of science on that. And like the last year and a half or so, I've low-key been like walking and going to the gym a lot. I didn't feel any decline, but I was like, if I keep telling my students this and I teach for a few more decades, might start to feel the effects of not doing that. It's not a guarantee, but there's been tons of studies that say that. And I know nobody wants to go to the gym and work out. I don't want to do that. But I like the results. Yeah. Yeah. It's 'cause-
About it, I'm like, I wanna forgive the people, but it's really hard to do it, so I just take my anger out when I think about it.
yeah, it's cathartic in a way. It's sublimation. This is something we all try to do well every day. Some of us probably struggle with from time to time. The fact that I haven't gotten fired by telling my boss what I actually think of her, I think I'm doing this really well every week.
Getting better though, cause she got talked to,
I think she got talked to.
but she's doing better.
Yeah.
That's good, right?
Yeah. She's like, I've always had your back. I'm thinking, no, 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 you haven't, but okay. She's like, think of a title that you want for next year. I'm like, well, definitely want more money and a better title. So I should not be an instructor.
You should be the school psychiatrist.
Go get a, go get an MD then.
Boss, you know what my boss tells me? He's like, whenever you need to stress, there's a store with a little leaf on it. Go buy something to stress yourself. I'm like, okay.
I joke with my direct supervisor and her boss about marijuana all the time. All the time.
Like your manager telling you that you're like, oh, okay.
I don't talk about any experiences I've had. I just talk about it in a general sense. Or when the classroom smells like weed, we'll joke about it. Like, I think the students are being bad in their car this week. So, I heard ability. That's actually incorrect. Let me change that. That actually, there's new science. 80% of IQ. Change the previous on Zoom too. Assuming it'll let me do that. You are up to 7 generations deep of who you are. Personality and intelligence. Personality is inherited about 72%. Intelligence is inherited about 80. Usually more industrialized countries have higher IQs. That's known as the Flynn effect. Bell curve, a book that made widely criticized claims about the heritability of intelligence. We have stereotype threat, and that kind of runs alongside stereotype vulnerability. That's when someone is aware of a stereotype, does not want to emulate the stereotype, and then gets anxiety about the stereotype and ends up emulating it for their particular culture because there's so much anxiety over it. So, okay, could we have some humor coming up? My boss said somebody was smoking the wrong strains to me, like in the last 6 months. My boss said one of her students was smoking the wrong strains because he was like on another planet and he knew he was high. She's like, he's smoking the wrong stuff. It's like, I can't believe you just said that to me. My lifespan class gave me crap 2 weeks ago about talking about marijuana when they were talking about drinking. I'm like, well, you're talking about drinking, so we're talking about marijuana. Like we always talk about that. I'm like, well, seems to be more popular with my students when I do. Haven't quite figured that out yet. So
Next Saturday, that wouldn't not come in, I had a Halloween party. Jesus, I was like, whoa.
for you, what's wrong with that?
And so it was a lot of like 25-year-olds, 20 to 25-year-olds. I'm just like, and I was a host because it was my cousin's party.
Oh wow.
So I threw my cousin a party because she graduated law school, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw you a party. So I threw a party. It was great.
So we have heritability with IQ scores, but it's all about language. Language has a you can basically articulate some infinite amounts of information. Language and communication are not the same thing. There's verbal cues. You can look at someone and they might know what you're trying to think or say, but you can get to any point of combining the symbols so you get a limited number of meanings. We have grammar, the rules, phonemes, basic units of sound and language, and morphemes, the smallest units of meaning within a language. Grammar, I can say something completely grammatically correct and maybe completely nonsensical because of the rules. For example, furious, green ideas sleep furiously. That makes no sense, but it's grammatically right. Um, there's structure. Like you can't double negate in English for grammar because it'll change the meaning. It's not, I don't have no, it's I don't have any. In Spanish, you can negate indefinitely with no and it means the same thing. It still stays negative. But if you negate twice, it flips it. There's rules like subject verb agreement. It's not we was at the store, it's we were because the subject and verb have to agree in both number and form. Phonemes, the basic units of sound in the language. So think about like the alphabet and like the soft and strong sounds for each thing. You also have diphthongs, which have to do with vowels that are close to consonants or close to each other that have one sound, like pool, the two O's, for example. Morphemes, the smallest unit meaning within a language. For example, the word girl. I can't make a smaller word out of that word. It doesn't really work with man because they can make and within another word. So the smallest units of meaning within a language. So we have syntax, system of rules for combining words and phrases to form grammatically correct sentences. Semantics, rules for determining the meaning of words and sentences. If I change the inflection, it changes the meaning. If I'm like, I can't believe you did that, or I can't believe you did that, it changes it a little bit. Pragmatics, those are things like please, thank you, like the ways in which we communicate with each other, expectations, how we communicate. Like the order, like, are you going to record the record? They're spelled the same way, but because of how they're placed in the sentence, you know how to pronounce them, for example. Or read and read, same present test and past tense. So language does a few things, allows children to think of words rather than just images, to ask questions, to communicate their needs, form concepts. We have child-directed speech, aka Mother Ease, that sing-songy way we tend to talk to children. That's found in all cultures. So here we have the evolution of language. We have babbling. Might sound like words, but they're not words. About 6 months, they can add consonant sounds. They might almost sound like real speech. Deaf children actually decrease their babbling after 6 months while increasing their use of primitive hand signs and gestures. Then there's one word speech that means like everything. When I was a kid, it was apple juice. That meant I wanted apple juice. That meant love. That meant pretty much everything. One word speech. Right. Examples of that. Telegraphic speech. They're not getting it right. Mom, it's darking out. Doggy, go bye-bye. Like they're just the essential words. And then whole sentences how we sound today. The hollow phrases. Milk. I want some milk. Or I drank my milk. Or the telegraphic speech. And it's good that this happens because what if an adult is still speaking telegraphically? What might that look like? Might look like this.
So this isn't matching up with this, I'm not sure which one's right. Can you just hunt down the original for me? Yeah, me too. All right. Yeah, what were you saying before about the paperwork? Me too now. Go. Don't worry.
Kevin, do you feel okay?
Me feel good. Body strong. We ate big last night.
Yeah, I think we should get him to the hospital.
Yeah, all right, Ted, why don't you come with us? No, guys.
He's fine. He's always been like that. No, he hasn't. I mean, he's gotten worse over the years.
He's making a statement, an ironic comment on our expectations of him, a funhouse image of our model of Kevin.
You keep take that. You mean mechanic, not speak English. but he know what me mean when me say Cardinal go, and we best friends. So me think, why waste time? Say lot word when few word do prick. Kevin, I appreciate what you're trying to do. Thank. Here, we have a word code. Same way we have a dress code. And what we're talking about is basically the speech equivalent to just wearing underpants. Sometimes words need use, but need for talk. But save time, more success. Does it save time though? Because we've been here for about an hour. No meatball.
Kevin, at most, you're saving a microscopic amount of time.
Many small time make big time. And what are you gonna do with all this time? See world?
Kevin, you can't possibly save enough time to see the world.
Kevin, are you saying see the world or sea world? Sea world. Ocean. Fish. Jump. China. No, see? Right there. That's the problem with your method, because I still don't know if you're saying sea world or see the world. It's taking a lot of time to explain it. Fine. I'll talk normally. When me president, they see.
Example, telegraphic speech. Which one do you think is accurate? Which one happens? Which theory is correct and why? Provide a rationale, make a case for one or the other. Why do you think it's the first one? It can be either, but why would you, what evidence would you marshal? Oh, just from the video? Okay, I can see your point.
It's both.
So can you give us evidence on both?
Well, because I'm thinking like there was a time when we didn't have verbal language.
Right.
So at that point, I think cognitive universalism was more the thing. But I think modern day, I think our thought processes and concepts are controlled by language. But I think it influences the other way around.
Okay, I can see that. Because of like how industrialized and how like structured we are as a society versus like we're not just like trying to forage for food and debate. Okay, I can see that. Anybody else on these? Which one makes sense? What do you guys think? Can animals communicate? But can they use language? No.
Yes, if you train them.
Say more.
There's so many videos online of people's pets using buttons to form sentences.
Right.
Right. I don't know if they truly understand the language. I know that I think they know that their owners understand what they're saying, but I don't think they like fully understand the
Yeah.
words that they're using.
With the dog at the Fifth Third Bank commercial, he does not know what he's saying. Have you guys seen that one? I was like, you should go to Fifth Third Bank, they're the best type of bank, with these buttons.
Oh,
But there was a case of the dog that started like to use the buttons to say something like, why am I a dog? And then like, is the animal getting self-awareness? I think the dog's name was Bunny. I saw a cat I used to have, the dog I used to have, get on the counter and go like this and look at the dog like I'm the fucking alpha. Like that was communication though. I don't know if that was language. I've heard my mom's dog mumble when she like asks who's here. I swear she mumbles, I don't know. It sounds like I don't know. But I think one of the DBMs told me that animals can learn like 1,500 words. not like the 6 million that we all have words in the language. So,
I don't know if they fully understand the word that they're using. I think they might just understand the outcome
sure.
that comes out of it.
So if you don't want to lose your health, physical and mental exercises, generally that works and improves cognitive function. I've totally met like 94-year-old nurses at like sharp as a tack. My grandma did crossword puzzles her whole life. I remember her getting very irritated about it, loose Pfizer. You need to fix this, yelling at my dad. So she was crabby in her old age, but she didn't lose it. She made it to 89. She really didn't show any signs of lack of mental processing or cognition. Just a little bit of general crabbiness. So, motivation and emotion. So, as the thing about motivation and emotion, we have intrinsic and extrinsic we talked about before. The cage fought, who would win between those two? What motivates you more? Is it the money and the outside factors? The standard of living? Is it the like of the task or the work? Because I absolutely like what I do, but if they weren't paying me, I probably wouldn't show up. Doesn't mean I live all of you guys, but I'm motivated by both. But is one stronger than the other? And if so, why?
I think extrinsic motivation might be stronger because it gives the feeling of purpose.
Oh.
I feel like if I had a really lazy professor, I would not want to come into class.
Oh, okay.
Like if they seemed rude or not passionate about what they're doing, I would want to. Even if I like the topic, because then it feels like, I don't know, because then it would just feel like I'm not actually getting what I want out of that teaching.
Okay.
And so it would feel like a lack of purpose to come to class,
Okay.
for me at least.
That makes sense. It's pretty solid rationale. Anybody else? And Zoom folks, you can answer this too. We can hear you. What do you got? Anybody else agree or disagree with Sarah? Is that external or internal motivation? Is one stronger than the other?
Personally, for me, I think they're about the same strength. But things like money are pretty motivating. So
It's okay to be motivated by income, as long as it's not your only motivation. We all have to survive and eat, right? Do you have some thoughts, Yao? Or are you just thinking about it?
Like a motivation, right?
Yeah, so is one stronger than the other and why?
Yeah, I have a little funny story. Some years ago, I worked with UPS, I was working two jobs. So the first one was the home place furniture, they always closed, and the second it was UPS. So the work was so hard. Every morning, you start unload the trucks. So that was so hard, and I told myself I have to quit this job. But when the pressure came,
You didn't
no,
quit.
but continue. The next week, I said, oh my God, this week I will finish. I cannot continue. And when the paycheck came, I will go back. So that was a lot of funny motivation sometimes.
Yeah.
To get our income.
Yeah.
I feel like raising kids and I don't know which one it would be. I don't know which one it would be, but like I do for my daughter. And it's like, I don't know, it's like rewarding or, you know what I mean? Like, she's a good kid, she gets good grades, she's in AP classes, like, she doesn't need to be glad, she needs herself. I think it's satisfying for her and it's satisfying for me. Then as like a single mom, it's like the thing that like I'm doing something right.
So that sounds, is that intrinsic? Might follow you, or you think it's more extrinsic? There's been some research that's been done on this. You go into chapter 10. There's a worksheet, Dan Pink TED Talk. It's tied to it. You can email it to me before next week would be fine. Or you can do it right now, because he's going to ask those questions.
This totally legit influencer loves electric vehicles.
As if.
This IRL test drive will change your mind. Just like that, the influencer has become the influence. Toyota VZ, one drive can change your mind. You can make a confession at the half of that year. A little over 20 years ago, I did something that I regret. Something that I'm not particularly proud of. Something that in many ways I wish no one would ever know, but that here I feel kind of obliged to reveal. In the late 1980s, in a moment of youthful indiscretion, I went to law school. Now, in America, law is a professional degree. You get your university degree, then you go on to law school. And when I got to law school, I didn't do very well. Put it mildly, I didn't do very well. I, in fact, graduated in the part of my law school class that made the top 90% possible. Thank you. I never practiced law a day in my life. I pretty much wasn't allowed to. But today, against my better judgment, against the advice of my own wife, I want to try to dust off some of those legal skills, what's left of those legal skills. I don't want to tell you a story. I want to make a case. I want to make a hard-headed, evidence-based, dare I say, lawyerly case for rethinking how we run our businesses. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, take a look at this. This is called the candle problem. Some of you might have seen this before. Created in 1945 by a psychologist named Carl Duncker. Carl Duncker created this experiment that's used in a whole variety of experiments in behavioral science. And here's how it works. Suppose I'm the experimenter. I bring you into a room. I give you a candle, some thumbtacks, and some matches. And I say to you, your job is to attach the candle to the wall so the wax doesn't drip onto the table. Now, what would you do? Many people begin trying to thumbtack the candle to the wall. Doesn't work. Some people, and I saw somebody kind of make the motion over here, some people have a great idea where they light the match, melt the side of the candle, try to adhere it to the wall. It's an awesome idea, doesn't work. And eventually, after 5 or 10 minutes, most people figure out a solution, which you can see here. The key is to overcome what's called functional fixedness. You look at that box and you see it only as a receptacle for the tacks, but it can also have this other function as a platform for the candle problem. Now, I want to tell you about an experiment using the candle problem done by a scientist named Sam Glucksberg, who's now at Princeton University in the US. This shows the power of incentives. Here's what he did. He gathered his participants and he said, I'm going to time you how quickly you can solve this problem. To one group, he said, I'm going to time you to establish norms, averages for how long it typically takes someone to solve this sort of problem. To the second group, he offered rewards. He said, if you're in the top 25% of the fastest times, you get $5. If you're the fastest of everyone we're testing here today, you get $20. Okay, now this was several years ago, adjusted for inflation. It's a decent sum of money for a few minutes of work. Okay, it's a nice motivator. Question, how much faster did this group solve the problem? Answer, it took them on average 3.5 minutes longer. 3.5 minutes longer. Now, this makes no sense, right? I mean, I'm an American. I believe in free markets. That's not how it's supposed to work, right? If you want people to perform better, you reward them, right? Bonuses, commissions, their own reality show, incentivize them. That's how business works. But that's not happening here. You've got an incentive designed to sharpen thinking and accelerate creativity, and it does just the opposite. It dulls thinking and blocks creativity. And what's interesting about this experiment is that it's not an aberration. This has been replicated over and over and over again for nearly 40 years. These contingent motivators. If you do this, then you get that. Work in some circumstances, but for a lot of tasks, they actually either don't work or often they do harm. This is one of the most robust findings in social science and also one of the most ignored. I spent the last couple of years looking at the science of human motivation, particularly the dynamics of extrinsic motivators and intrinsic motivators. And I'm telling you, it's not even close. If you look at the science, there is a mismatch between what science knows and what business does. And what's alarming here is that our business operating system, think of the set of assumptions and protocols beneath our businesses, how we motivate people, how we apply our human resources. It's built entirely around these extrinsic motivators, around carrots and sticks. That's actually fine for many kinds of 20th century tasks. But for 21st century tasks, that mechanistic reward and punishment approach doesn't work, often doesn't work, and often does harm. Let me show you what I mean. So Glucksberg did another experiment similar to this, where he presented the problem in a slightly different way, like this up here. Okay? Tax the candle to the wall so the wax doesn't drip onto the table. Same deal. You were timing for norms. You were incentivizing. What happened this time? This time, the incentivized group kicked the other group's butt. Why? Because when the tax are out of the box, it's pretty easy, isn't it?
What if I told you this dish was actually healthy? Let's be real. Factor's menu is way healthier than the competition. Their chef.
If-then rewards work really well for those sorts of tasks, where there's a simple set of rules and a clear destination to go to. Rewards, by their very nature, narrow our focus, concentrate the mind. That's why they work in so many cases. And so for tasks like this, a narrow focus where you just see the goal right there, zoom straight ahead to it, they work really well. But for the real candle problem, you don't want to be looking like this. The solution's not over here. The solution's on the periphery. You want to be looking around. That reward actually narrows our focus and restricts our possibilities. Let me tell you why this is so important. In Western Europe, in many parts of Asia, in North America, in Australia, white-collar workers are doing less of this kind of work and more of this kind of work. That routine, rule-based, left-brain work, certain kinds of accounting, certain kinds of financial analysis, certain kinds of computer programming has become fairly easy to outsource, fairly easy to automate. Software can do it faster. Low-cost providers around the world can do it cheaper. So what really matters are the more right-brain, creative, conceptual kinds of abilities. Think about your own work. Think about your own work. Are the problems that you face, or even the problems we've been talking about here, are those kinds of problems, they have a clear set of rules and a single solution? No. The rules are mystifying. The solution, if it exists at all, is surprising and not obvious. Everybody in this room is dealing with their own version of the candle problem. And for candle problems of any kind, in any field, those if-then rewards, the things around which we built so many of our businesses, don't work. Now, I mean, it makes me crazy. Because, and this is not, here's the thing, this is not a feeling. Okay, I'm a lawyer, I don't believe in feelings. This is not a philosophy. I'm an American, I don't believe in philosophy. This is a fact, or as we say in my hometown of Washington, D.C., a true fact. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Let me marshal the evidence here, because I'm not telling you a story, I'm making a case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Some evidence. Dan O'Reilly, one of the great economists of our time, he and 3 colleagues did a study with some MIT students. They gave these MIT students a bunch of games that involved creativity and motor skills and concentration. And they offered them for performance 3 levels of reward. Small reward, medium reward, large reward. Okay? Do really well, you get the large reward, on down. What happens? As long as the task involved only mechanical skill, bonuses work as they would be expected. The higher the pay, the better the performance. Okay? But once the task called for even rudimentary cognitive skill, a larger reward led to poorer performance. Then they said, okay, let's see if there's any cultural bias here. Let's go to Madurai, India and test this. Reward standard of living is lower. In Madurai, a reward that's modest by North American standards is more meaningful there. Same deal. A bunch of games, 3 levels of rewards. What happens? People offered the medium level of rewards, did no better than people offered the small rewards. But this time, people offered the highest rewards. They did worst of all. In 8 of the 9 tasks we examined across 3 experiments, higher incentives led to worse performance. Is this some kind of touchy-feely socialist conspiracy going on here? No, these are economists from MIT, from Carnegie Mellon, from the University of Chicago. And do you know who sponsored this research? The Federal Reserve Bank of the United States. That's the American experience. Let's go across the pond to the London School of Economics. LSE, London School of Economics, alma mater of 11 Nobel laureates in economics. Training ground for great economic thinkers like George Soros and Friedrich Hayek and Mick Jagger. Just last month, economists at LSE looked at 51 studies of pay-for-performance plans inside of companies. Here's what the economist there said. We find that financial incentives can result in a negative impact on overall performance. There's a mismatch between what science knows and what business does. And what worries me as we stand here in the rubble of the economic collapse is that too many organizations are making their decisions, their policies about talent and people based on assumptions that are outdated, unexamined, and rooted more in folklore than in science. And if we really want to get out of this economic mess, and if we really want high performance on those definitional tasks of the 21st century, the solution is not to do more of the wrong things, to entice people with a sweeter carrot or threaten them with a sharper stick. We need a whole new approach. The good news about all this is that the scientists who've been studying motivation have given us this new approach. It's an approach built much more around intrinsic motivation, around the desire to do things because they matter, because we like it, because they're interesting, because they're part of something important. And to my mind, that new operating system for our businesses revolves around three elements: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy, the urge to direct our own lives. Mastery, the desire to get better and better at something that matters. And purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. These are the building blocks of an entirely new operating system for our businesses. I want to talk today only about autonomy. In the 20th century, we came up with this idea of management. Management did not emanate from nature. Okay, management is it's not a tree, it's a television set. Okay, somebody invented it, and it doesn't mean it's going to work forever. Management is great. Traditional notions of management are great if you want compliance, but if you want engagement, self-direction works better. Let me give you some examples of some kind of radical notions of self-direction. And what this means, you don't see a lot of it, but you see the first stirrings of something really interesting going on. Because what it means is it means paying people adequately and fairly, absolutely. Getting the issue of money off the table, and then giving people lots of autonomy. Let me give you some examples. How many of you have heard of the company Atlassian? It looks like less than half. Atlassian is an Australian software company, and they do something incredibly cool. A few times a year, they tell their engineers, go for the next 24 hours and work on anything you want. As long as it's not part of your regular job, work on anything you want. So that engineers use this time to come up with a cool patch of code, come up with an elegant hack. Then they present all of these stuff that they've developed to their teammates, to the rest of the company, in this wild and woolly all-hands meeting at the end of the day. And then, being Australians, everybody has a beer. They call them FedEx Day. Why? Because you have to deliver something overnight. It's not bad. It's a huge trademark violation, but it's pretty clever. That one day of intense autonomy has produced a whole array of software fixes that might never have existed.
There's nothing like earning more on purchases with business class.
And it's worked so well that Atlassian has taken it to the next level with 20% time, done famously at Google, where engineers can spend 20% of their time working on anything they want. They have autonomy over their time, their tasks, their team, their technique. Okay, radical amounts of autonomy. And at Google, as many of you know, about half of the new products in a typical year are birthed during that 20% time. Things like Gmail, Orchid, Google News. Let me give you an even more radical example of it. Something called the results-only work environment, the ROW. Created by two American consultants in place at about a dozen companies around North America. In a row, people don't have schedules. They show up when they want. They don't have to be in the office at a certain time or any time. They just have to get their work done. How they do it, when they do it, where they do it is totally up to them. Meetings in these kinds of environments are optional. What happens? Almost across the board. Productivity goes up, worker engagement goes up, worker satisfaction goes up, turnover goes down. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. These are the building blocks of a new way of doing things. Now, some of you might look at this and say, that sounds nice, but it's utopian. And I say, nope. I have proof. In the mid-1990s, Microsoft started an encyclopedia called Encarta. They deployed all the right incentives. All the right incentives. They paid professionals to write and edit thousands of articles. Well-compensated managers oversaw the whole thing to make sure it came in on budget and on time. A few years later, another encyclopedia got started. Different model, right? Do it for fun. No one gets paid a cent or a euro or a yen. Do it because you like to do it. Now, if you had, just 10 years ago, if you had gone to an economist anywhere and said, hey, I got these two different models for creating an encyclopedia. If they went head to head, who would win? 10 years ago, you could not have found a single sober economist anywhere on planet Earth who would have predicted the Wikipedia model. This is the titanic battle between these two approaches. This is the Ali Frazier of motivation, right? This is the thriller in Manila, all right? Intrinsic motivators versus extrinsic motivators. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose versus carrots and sticks. And who wins? Intrinsic motivation, autonomy, mastery, and purpose in a knockout. Let me wrap up. There's a mismatch between what science knows and what business does. And here's what science knows. One, those 20th century rewards, those motivators we think are the natural part of business, do work, but only in a surprisingly narrow band of circumstances. Two, those if-then rewards often destroy creativity. Three, the secret to high performance isn't rewards and punishments, but that unseen intrinsic drive, the drive to do things for their own sake, the drive to do things because they matter. And here's the best part. Here's the best part. We already know this. The science confirms what we know in our hearts. So if we repair this mismatch between what science knows and what business does, if we bring our motivation, notions of motivation into the 21st century, if we get past this lazy, dangerous ideology of carrots and sticks, we can strengthen our businesses, we can solve a lot of those candle problems, and maybe we can change the world. I rest my case.
Thoughts? Comments? That a little more context on intrinsic, extrinsic motivation, some of the data that's out there.
It makes me feel like what I said earlier is actually intrinsic and not really extrinsic.
So I'll give you a better understanding of intrinsic. Okay. Everybody else, any thoughts about the row?
I mean, I think it makes sense. I always thought a structure like that would work better rather than a carrot and stick situation. Because every job I've had, I feel like if they were like, oh, we can give you a raise or like a whatever for this thing, it just makes me not want to try harder anymore. I don't know. It's a really weird effect, I feel like.
I was working somewhere where I hit their matrix, and I had like 2 more weeks left, but they would rate us on both our ability to get new clients and we lost them. So I was being super complacent for 2 weeks. I was venting to a coworker. I was washing my hands in double vanity in the bathroom. My director was in one of the stalls and heard me. I got blacklisted for like 6 months. I didn't apologize. I was like, can I please start over? But it was because I didn't want to lose money. I had enough to make more money. I didn't want to try harder at the job because I want to risk the extrinsic motivation.
You know, like, I have a coworker that's been there for like, I don't know, 15 years. And she probably makes more money than any of us in the department. But she's the laziest of the group.
Right.
So that's like social loafing. Like she does the minimum, and let you guys carry her work. Yeah. We had a guy like that, Alex, I used to call him John Wayne, or I'd call him John. I'm calling John Wayne. He would be on the phone for like an hour. They walk around the company for like an hour. We're like, it's like, what's up, John? Because he was like not doing stuff. To your point with your coworker, but it might be a little bit what Sarah said too. Why do you think she's so lazy?
I think she's just so unhappy.
Part of the pay's there, so she's not quitting. It's fair.
The pay and the years are there. No, like a lot of people don't wanna start all over.
That's fair. Should we take 10? It's about that time. See it like 1:45 or like a minute or two after or so ish. Everybody on Zoom, you should probably just email me so I have your attendance. If I can grab it now, I will, but I don't think it would hurt to follow up with an email that you were here.
I'm still more taxing for the 18.
Fix that right.
Also, I forgot to add my 3 videos for my journals, and I'll get back on the 17th.
Yeah, that's fine. To the 18th, right?
Yeah. Sometime. Or the May.
You want to tell me those assignments?
Yeah.
Just tell me which ones they were.
Chapter 4.
Two, 4,
4, 8,
4.
8, 9, 10. One more thing that I want to show you.
Was it those
In the
three?
4, you see the chapter sensation and the first one
What are you talking about?
is the one. Yeah. Yeah,
Where?
it's-
Yeah, this one?
Yeah, I tried a couple of times, but it didn't graded me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know why. It's because of the deadline. I'm gonna fix that right now.
Okay.
Can you get it done by Tuesday at midnight?
Yeah, that's
Safe.
last time you did it the same thing, but I don't know. I did, but it didn't grade up. I tried 5 to 10 times. Trust me.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This should fix it. This usually does. If so, it's now set for the 4th.
Okay,
Tuesday.
I will open it right now.
Yeah,
I will check
see
it.
if it should let you do stuff. If it doesn't, then I need you to send me an email so I can get the publisher involved to look at it, because then it's on their side. But usually it doesn't. Now, it might not give you the grade until Wednesday, like in Blackboard, but it should stop the recharge now.
I think I have a semi show. I send you an email like
Oh, did I miss it?
uh,
Just tell me what it is. Is it for the assignments?
yeah, the small segment 4, 7, 8 in the
So I just did 4. I'll just do 7 then. Because I just did 4, 8, and 9, and 10 for him. And I'm gonna move that over for Tuesday for you right now.
I think I already did them. But it just missed the grade.
It should give you a grade. Usually this fixes it though.
Okay.
That should fix it. It should allow you to go in there for areas and you didn't. That should fix it. It might take 24 hours to try to push, but usually if I move the data, it usually fixes itself. It usually self-corrects.
Okay, and my last, I was on class on 27th of 27th.
You might have walked in late. The 27th?
Yeah, September.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. That's welcome. That was 10. So we have instincts and the evolutionary approach. Approach to motivation assumes people are governed by instincts similar to those of animals. Instincts are the biologically determined and innate patterns of behavior that exist in both people and animals. What's with the three of us in the sun chips, huh? It's always the same. Four of us, sun chips. So good.
Mega here. But
It's good. I'm trying to cut out caffeine. I'm trying.
still an addict. I don't know about me. Also, I've been drinking caffeine ever since I was like 8.
Oh. Fair.
I think it really has an effect on my brain.
Do you agree or disagree with drive reduction theory? It makes sense. Walk through it if it doesn't.
Oh, assumes behavior arises from needs. And so then when you satisfy the need. Get out of it.
Yeah.
Is there another?
I mean, there's several motivation theories. You don't what?
I don't know if I disagree or.
Okay. We have primary drives and secondary drives, then homeostasis. So a primary drive like trying to eat, secondary drive like money. Social approval. You feel those are motivating factors. The driver behavior, why or why not? Give examples. I have not successfully gotten enough caffeine. I just keep going like a day or two without it. I had it this week for sure, I think. Well, yesterday. It's Halloween, so I dressed up as a hangover guy with baby Carlos. But I had to get into character, so I went out Thursday night on purpose because of the character from Friday.
I was gonna dress up Halloween, but I didn't have enough time. But I was gonna dress as Jesse Pinkman.
Wow.
I was gonna dress as.
The best TV I've ever seen.
What?
Breaking Bad's some of the best TV I've ever seen. Doing that in plot holes. And there's El Camino.
Yes, I watched Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul.
I haven't made it through all of Better Call Saul yet.
Okay. My favorite actually. I
Really?
think it's better than Break. I don't want to say it's better, but I think it is kind of better.
I only got like I got like the third episode. It was so slow. It was hard to
Says that.
get.
So yeah.
Jesse Pinkman is the guy that lives in the house with BoJack Horseman, the animated.
Yeah.
That's the same. It's the same actor, Aaron Paul. Yeah. So this is an example of homeostasis, but this is why we feel hunger. Your blood sugar drops. It's not like diabetes, just your blood sugar drops below a certain level. That's what actually causes the hunger. So you have increased hunger, you eat, glucose is raised, hunger is diminished, don't eat, and then it's lowered again. So just that cycle happens. How about these theories? Which ones are you motivated by?
I think mine's more achievement and affiliation.
Not so much power. All right.
Facebook.
Say more words. You quantify that.
People certain kind of life on Facebook. It's, I don't have Facebook. It gives me anxiety because I could care less what people are trying to make their lives to be, because when I did have Facebook, there was people on there wanting money, and then I've been to their house, and they don't even have toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like they remove themselves from reality and just be able to create anything that they think would appease the person looking at it.
Yeah. It's not accurate. Yeah.
It's not accurate.
They say that maybe because of this. I think the best meme I saw on the internet was like, I hope your real life is as good as your Facebook life.
Yeah, Facebook gives me anxiety.
I don't have Facebook.
I don't even have Facebook.
I feel like it's outdated.
I'm not completely off, but I've pretty much blocked the ability to see anything on LinkedIn or Facebook or my profile. It's set to like crazy private. I might completely get off of it. I found out that like being honest on my LinkedIn profile might actually hurt my employability because I adjunct. So I work with multiple schools. I'm like, well, you're stretched too thin. No, I'm actually really, really efficient. And if I miss something, like with the assignments from some of you, I took care of it this class. Like, I'm not stretched too thin. But if they see all the places I worked at, like, oh, we can't hire him. He's stretched too thin.
Yeah.
So
That'd be really good to be able to manage, like, I can't even manage one full-time job. I need to do more than one full-time.
one full-time and it's a few part-time jobs. It's not two full-times. It's one full-time and then like four other schools part-time.
I think my brain would explode.
I work 40, 50 hours a week out of usual. This is actually unusual. Usually I have weekends off. But COD, they pay the highest, so I'm not gonna say no to a Saturday class.
Then you get extra pay for teaching on a Saturday or Sunday.
They're unionized, so it's fair. The longer you're here, the more they pay you. So, personality and need for achievement. Carol Dweck. Does anyone know the difference between internal versus external locus of control? You read about that yet? I'll tell you if you're not familiar with it. So internal locus of control, you are very accountable about what happens in terms of life. And external, it's all the outside factors that cause a thing. So like, for example, if you show up, you take a test and you get an A on it and you have an internal locus of control, you're like, I was super prepared. I did well on that test. If you have an external locus of control, you're like, oh, that professor made the test too easy. Internal locus of control, you show up, you fail the test. You're like, I didn't study enough. External locus of control, the professor made the test too hard. Internal is generally better because external is more like, well, I'm just kind of going through the universe and it's just random fate and I have no control. Internal, very much you control that.
Wouldn't internal be more positive and external be negative?
And potentially a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
Like the coworker that doesn't work. If she blames everyone else's external locus of control, if she's like, yeah, I'm lazy, I need to knock it off, at least that's internal because she's being accountable and honest with herself. We have a stimulus motive, a motive that appears to be unlearned but causes an increase in stimulation, such as curiosity. An arousal theory of motivation. People have an optimal, best, or ideal level of tension they seek to maintain by increasing or decreasing stimulation. Do you ever get assigned a task at work where it's either incredibly easy and you're just like, I'm so bored, or it's so difficult that you're like, screw this, I don't even want to show up and do this thing because the task is just too hard. But if it's right between those, that best or ideal level of motivation, you generally really like it. Like we all like a challenge, but we don't like it to be, I'm going to trip over the bar because it's so easy, or too difficult where it's like next to impossible. Any examples or agreements or disagreements that you see so far on motivation? Might drive your own behavior.
What does it mean by a motive that appears to be unlearned for stimulus?
So like curiosity would motivate you to do something. You want to figure something out, right? If you're like you could be curious about something, or I would say like a challenge. I think curiosity is probably one of the best examples. I'm explaining that right. Am I? Because if I'm not, I can dive in more.
I think that makes sense because that makes me think of why I would look into. Because like I had a friend recently, she was asking about like the idea of karma when it comes to astrology charts,
Oh.
and I'm like, I actually don't know, and so I spent like 2 hours researching.
Yeah. And that motivated you for that behavior because you're interested in it.
And I eventually got an answer for her, so she was happy about that.
Yeah. Sometimes motivation for me is like when someone tells me I can't do something, like keep talking. Watch me do this thing.
I think that motivates you even more.
Yeah. When I first got stats, I was told they couldn't teach it by my partner at the time. I was like, let me show you how wrong you are. And she's like, but you didn't take all this. You don't have a degree in stats. I'm like, well, I do have a bunch of stats in my transcript. But I did teach myself some stuff that I hadn't seen in a while that I was rusty on that first semester. But I'm with you, like it motivates you even more, right? When someone tells you you're not capable of doing something. We have the Yerkes-Dodson law that basically articulates that. Modern levels of arousal lead to better performance than levels of arousal that are too low or too high. The effect varies the difficulty of the task. Easy tasks require a higher moderate level. More difficult tasks require a low moderate level. Anybody here an adrenaline junkie?
Mhm.
Anybody here an adrenaline junkie? I am. I went to Six Flags. I did the Batman. I got one of my favorite roller coasters last weekend.
Good for you.
It was the thrill.
I can't do it.
That's what I said on Friday.
Uh, I have gone from water park to always the top and just walk all the way back down. I can't.
Oh, I love those.
Like
It's
my
my
stomach
favorite.
starts turning, like I feel like I can't breathe.
Anxiety and excitement physiologically are identical. It's your interpretation. I'm not saying your stuff's not real. I'm not. I'm just saying it's how your brain is interpreting.
But I don't even know where it comes from, because I like, so and I think it's because of this, because like, I went to Great America and I was like, okay, and I went down to American Eagle. And I threw up for like an hour straight when I got off it.
Well, that's a rickety ride. It's made out of wood. I like the metal ones way better.
So I threw up for like an hour, and ever since that, I have like this fear of heights, and I just, like, my stomach started turning, and I was like, I know nothing's gonna happen. Like, I know that, like, I know I will live, but I think it's just the way my stomach feels.
I don't like how rickety that ride is. It shakes too much.
See, I've heard that from people, like, that's not one to base your thing off of.
The Batman, we went upside down with the corkscrew and it was all like solid. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite is the secret.
And then I feel like.
That was next on the agenda. We ran out of time.
I started growing up on a ride, it would be like very nice.
Mhm.
When people.
Yeah, that would not be very nice. You're so right.
Something very considerate of other people's feelings.
During the Superman ride, someone in front of me was wearing sandals, and I was scared for like the first like 10 seconds of the ride that the flip flop was gonna like come off and hit me in the face. It did not. I don't know how she kept her sandals on. I really have no clue, but it was very fun.
That was bright fun. You were there.
I wore a new necklace so that it wouldn't freak me out. My friends brought it, and they're small children. I did not like the chainsaws. I know they're fake, but I didn't like those.
I didn't like just the sounds. I think I feel a little upset sometimes.
Sounds like this, like it's like sensory.
Wait, say it again, sorry.
You said the sounds.
Yeah.
The sounds.
Is that you?
Yeah, that was the point of the lecture. I was just trying to pull it up for both sides.
That's awesome.
This is going up this is like parasailing. So that's scuba diving. They were like, do you want to snorkel or do you want to scuba dive? I'm like, clearly scuba diving because you breathe underwater. Like, God bless America, Mexico though, because they're like, all you speak English over here, all you speak Spanish over there. No certification. Yeah, it's 1 feet down and sharing air with another guy, and it was at the top, and they had people that were diving.
Breathe in through your nose or your mouth?
Your mouth. You breathe through your mouth, and the thing suctions. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty cool. So these are the underground water rivers in Mexico.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why'd you go so fast? It's your ex.
I just put pictures of me. I didn't get these slides. Yeah, they're still on yours. Yeah. I need to edit this one.
Okay.
But we can end the photo lecture with some humor.
Was it like you?
This is like there's like a 3 mile swim
Yeah.
underwater. At one point, the people in front of me were like serpiente, serpiente, which is Spanish for snake. And I'm like, it's fine. I'm sure it's not poisonous. I'll just keep swimming. There might have been a water snake in there, but it was fine. But we were down in Cancun, and the night before, we asked the front desk if we could walk to the restaurant. Like, is it safe? And it pretty much is, because like a large percentage of like the tourism gets paid to the cartel to stay the hell out of Cancun. It's like actually a pretty safe area in Mexico. Um, so we walked and had dinner right across the way from the hotel instead of driving. Well, there was this asinine U-turn where you had to like you couldn't see over like the guardrail. Then you had to like merge into the onto the freeway, then into the hotel parking lot really quick. So I said to her, I said, why don't you drive down like a mile or two and we'll get a normal turnaround. So we were driving. We saw this lovely sign on the freeway
Oh.
because it's close to Tulum, which is jungle. So it's fine. They just want to play, right? The DVM that I work with says if you had a laser pointer, it would actually work with a big cat. So after that, there was no more um, driving. Maybe no more walking. So I feel like I think I have one more, maybe. Let me just see if I can sign in. Let me sign in, I can find the right folder.
Do you ever been to like Brazil or anything like over there?
No, I've been to Dominican Republic, Mexico, and Spain
Which one did you
and
like?
Germany. I liked Madrid was nice. Germany was cold, but I was there like over like the Christmas break. I like the standard of living. I like the cost of living. Some friends that are in Mexico right now, and they only pay. Why it's giving me all these code things. They live in a swanky apartment, and they pay $800 a month for a 3-2 in Mexico City, USD. Like that would never happen here. The trick is to have like an online job and then have your American salary. Come on, Israeli code. No, skip for now. Sure, we'll stay signed in. Trying to see if I can pull up a folder with more thrill seeking here. Oh my God. Come on, Google. If it doesn't show me my files pretty soon, we're just going to skip this because my files, let's see if we have. I guess I don't. That's so weird. I can see it on my phone, but when I log in here, shared. Oh, folder, hang on. Oh, result. All right. Well, then I guess we're not doing that. Okay. We'll keep. Window. So we have things like incentive approaches, motivation that lure people into action. Incentives are like basically rewarding people. We talk about the carrots and sticks from the video. Do you think incentives work? Yes, no. Why not?
Oh, incentives would be. Oh, external students. Okay, no. I guess not.
They don't think
Based
they
on
work.
the TikTok.
Yeah, they don't work as well as we think they do.
Yeah.
So we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you guys remember what those are? What happened when COVID hit? What were you all trying to do?
Survive.
Survival, nailed it. But you could be under a bridge to survive. So what's our next one? What are the past law?
Not get COVID.
Surviving. So the tip of your tongue, huh? You know, but you're not.
Yeah. Isn't it, well, wouldn't food count as surviving though? Oh, shelter.
Safety, security, shelter, yeah. But a hint for the next one is like, why would you come to a class face to face versus trying to do it online?
For, like, me personally, I do it for, was it? I could be more accountable.
Sense of belonging, social. Sort of what we said. There's two of that start with self. First one's related to self-confidence.
Self-esteem, self-realization.
Good job.
Those are our peak experiences. So here's the revised list with a few more things like cognitive needs. Yeah. Yeah, so it was later revised. Those are our basic self-actualization of those peak experiences. Like when you graduate college, when you get your dream job, but not every day. is like the big stuff that happens. Our video talked about this: autonomy, competence, relatedness, motivation. You like your freedom, right? You like being good at something, and then how does it relate? So termination theory, the social context of an action has an effect on the type of motivation existing for that action. We have the physiological and social components of hunger. Insulin and glucagon, hormones secreted by the pancreas to control levels of fat, proteins, and carbohydrates in the bloodstream. Insulin reduces the level of glucose in the bloodstream. Glucagon increases the level of glucose in the bloodstream. Leptin is a hormone that signals the hypothalamus that the body hasn't had enough food and reduces the appetite while increasing the feeling of being full. The role of the hypothalamus responds to levels of glucose and insulin in the body. Leptin is a hormone that signals the hypothalamus that the body has had enough food and reduces appetite while increasing the feeling of being full. The rat on the left has reached a high level of obesity because his ventromedial hypothalamus has been deliberately damaged in the laboratory. The result is it no longer feels satiated or satisfied, so it continues to eat and eat and eat.
We have a patient that's got like some chromosome and, like, she'll never feel full. I forgot what it's called. It's very rare. And it gets to the point where it starts to show at like the age of 2 or 3. And she'll never have this, like, the feeling that she's full. And then it turns into a matter of just eating anything and everything in sight.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
It's gonna be hard to manage because
Yeah,
the brain's gonna believe it.
right.
And if you have a craving for something, a lot of times because you're deficient in the thing that's inside the food that you have the craving for.
But that's like, I don't know, it's like super rare, but like the doctor said it'll be to a point where they're gonna have to like lock the fridge and lock the cabinet,
Wow.
cause she'll never feel full. Isn't that crazy?
It's really crazy. For the weight set point, particular level of weight that the body tries to maintain, and your basal metabolic rate, the rate at which the body burns energy when the organism is resting. Here's our average for rate for ages between men and women. It's about 2,000 on average, kind of throughout life. The number of calories you need. Calories are not a bad thing. The idea is to burn them, but they give you energy. What are some social components of hunger based on what you see here? Anything happening anytime soon, like this month, might be a social component of hunger. Yeah. And what's the social expectation? We're supposed to overeat.
Yeah.
And
You're supposed to go back to there's,
yeah. Anything of a gender one? Not a stereotype, but a gender like cultural thing that tends to happen. If a guy and girl go out, who orders what usually?
I was thinking more of a stereotype of like moms raising their first son, and it's like, oh, my boy has to eat more.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen more of that.
it's good. Do you have one too, Debbie?
I'm saying they do appetizers when I do the meal, and then I do their.
Yeah. A lot of times the woman orders a salad, the guy orders a steak. That happens too. In terms of a social component, not always, because then it's maybe a stereotype, but a lot of times it does happen. Cultural factors. A student actually here at COD was telling me about throwing food at his face because of his religion. You weren't supposed to touch your face with your hand because it was considered unclean. So he's like, this is absurd, but we have fingerprints that we throw at our face because we are not allowed to like touch our face with our hand for religious reasons. I don't know. He said he sees like this is so absurd, but the religious restriction says I have to eat it this way
By throwing food at their face?
because they can't touch their face with their hand because the hand's considered unclean.
Why do you use a fork?
That was unclear to me. I hear you, but that was unclear to me. He said it was religion based. I think he was talking about finger food though, not stuff that you would usually use a fork for. And then sometimes people will eat as a comfort device. Obesity, if you're 20% or more over the ideal body weight, the person's height. Biological causes include heredity, hormones, and slow metabolism with age. Overeating and stress. The chemical that goes right to your gut is cortisol from being stressed. It used to help us when we were a little more tribal. We had to run away from, say, the saber-tooth tiger, but like now, it's bad. Try to reduce your stress as much as you possibly can. A tiny, tiny bit of stress is healthy. Beyond that, it leads to lots of bad things. So we have emotion, the feeling aspect of consciousness characterized by certain physical arousal, certain behavior that reveals emotion to the outside world, and the inner awareness of feelings. What parts of the emotion are involved in various aspects? The amygdala, that manages your fight, flight, fear response. There's a low road and a high road. So I was swimming in Cancun in the ocean. And probably for me to Debbie, I saw a dark mass in the ocean. So the subcortical low, the fast crude low road subcortical was simply, Dr. Matt, get the fuck out of the water. Not what is the danger? Remove yourself from the water right now. That's not safe. Not what it is. Now I'm on the shore and I'm looking and it's a barracuda, which is better than a great white. But still, you don't really want to get bitten by a barracuda. But the brain, for safety, was telling me what the threat was after I was already removed from it. That was a higher, slower road. So the amygdala does this. Bless you. There's something going around. It's like all stuffed up in the middle of the night last night, and then it was gone this morning. It was weird. So literally what I described the low road and the high road. Preserve yourself. Don't worry what the fear is. Then process it later. So which parts of the brain are involved in various aspects of emotion? Other subcortical and cortical areas, frontal lobes, anterior cingulate cortex, and lateral orbital frontal cortex. So we have emotional expression, we have display rules, different by gender, different by culture. Labeling emotion, you interpret it, then the cognitive processing element is you give it a label. Think about emotions like anger, it's a fake emotion because it's usually systemic in fear. If you're angry with your boss, it's because you don't want to lose your job a lot of times. Usually there's a lack of control. So they say in a sense it's a fake emotion because there's usually another emotion driving it. The theories we're born with our basic emotions and the other ones we learn as we grow up from modeling those around us. Different by gender. If you look at life expectancy tables for men and women, it's mid-70s for men and mid-80s for women, and that's the average. There's a theory one of my students brought up, I think it was here, it might have been Wabunzi, but it was one of the two community colleges this term. Do men live shorter lives because of the requirement, the social culture rules to like not show emotion? They're supposed to just be strong. If you're a woman, socioculturally, you can usually be a little more honest about your emotions. If you're a guy and you're emotional, they usually call you a name, which is messed up. It should be equal.
Like at one point in time, like men had more stress than women.
Mhm.
You know, back when they were stay-at-home moms and,
Again, inflation being the bigger boogie monster.
yeah.
Because now, usually, if we think about a traditional couple, a lot of times you need both people to work.
Right.
It's hard to do it on one income. Like I'm just a single person working, but like I have multiple incomes. I work in multiple places. I don't know if one income would be enough. It's a real thing in terms of
Some like cognitive element to
the processing element. I feel fill in the blank this way about this thing. I'm pissed off, I'm angry, I'm fearful, I'm scared, I'm sad, etc. Here are faces of facial expressions of emotion with various different cultures. A, we have fear, anger. B, fear. C, disgust. D, happiness. E, surprise. And F, sadness. And generally, it's pretty consistent across the board. So let's talk about theories of emotion. We have the common sense theory. A stimulus leads to an emotion and then leads to a bodily arousal. We'll walk through there's like, I think six or seven theories approximately. We're going to walk through them and then I'll put them all on the board. I'd love to hear which one you think makes the most sense and why. And then we'll probably have time to segue into a guest speaker who's a shame researcher who has a lot of information about emotions, who has her doctorate in sociology. So here's what it looks like. Snarling dog, conscious fear, first response, second response, autonomic nervous system arousal. Our next one, James Lang theory of emotion, a physiological reaction leads to the labeling of an emotion. This is that visually. Snarling dog, autonomic system arousal, and then the conscious fear. We have the Cannon-Bard theory of emotion. The physiological reaction and the emotion are assumed to occur at the same time. So that looks like this. Snarling dogs, subcortical-like brain activity, autonomic nervous system arousal, and the conscious fear. We have the facial feedback hypothesis. Facial expressions provide feedback to the brain concerning the emotion expressed, which then causes and intensifies the emotion. Looks like this, facial feedback theory. Autonomic nervous system arousal, facial expression, cognitive interpretation of face motions, and then the fear. Cognitive arousal theory. Both the physical arousal and the labeling of that arousal based on cues from the environment must occur before the emotion is experienced. So it looks like this. Cognitive appraisal, nervous system arousal, and the fear. We have the cognitive meditational theory. A stimulus must be interpreted and praised by a person in order to result in a physical response and an emotional reaction. So it looks like that. Stimulus, present threat, fear, and the bodily response. So, which one do you think makes the most sense and why? Which of the theories do you think they explain either experiencing emotion and or fear? And why?
I think there would be the cannon bar theory. 'Cause it's gotta go to your brain and then you react.
Okay.
Like some people like breathe, you know what I mean? But it's your brain like it has to like figure it all out. Gotta be processed in the brain first before anything.
I was on my lunch break walking my Chihuahua quite a few years back. And this You can't say this is a breed because there's plenty of friendly pit bulls, but this one was not a good one. Tried to eat her on a lunch break, thought she was a snack. I got knocked over and she was tugging away from it like the Matrix, like it hadn't bitten her yet. And I was sitting down because I've been knocked over because of the way like the dog ran around with the leash. And I felt this surge of like, oh hell no, not today, pal. Of course, the dog. So I reached in and like grabbed the thing by the jugular, put it in a headlock, and called for help. My dog lived to see another day. But I feel like it kind of supports what you were saying. Like I experienced that surge, and then I felt like I could throw the dog like 50 feet. I didn't. Four Good Samaritans helped me, and everything was fine. No internal bleeding either. So, but yeah, I was like, if I don't do something, my dog's going to get eaten. It's going to end up burying my dog. And I was like, we're not doing that today. You're not supposed to reach your hand in the dog fight because your chances of getting bitten are higher than 100%. But I did not get bit. I did have it scratch the hell out of my ankle though with its giant claw that I found later. But anybody else on this one? When motivation is not enough, this is how you can get things done. You can think of the idea of like, is it urgent and important, not important, urgent, that sort of thing. But you put all the ideas on in one place, process is defined what you can take action on, identify the next steps, organize information, basically a process to stay motivated if motivation is not enough. Complete weekly reviews of your projects, do your next actions in the appropriate context or time frame for doing so. So that's you guys.
Why is it so cold in this place?
Because the air and the heat are on at the same time.
Why are we on?
Because it's a university, it's a college.
Specifically in this room. No, I didn't.
MR test.
I know the guy that's in, I know the guy that's in charge of that. But I don't know where he sits or anything.
Oh.
So. So what I, for this, I'd like you guys to write, we'll start, we won't finish today, we'll do this today and next class. This is a social science researcher, she's a sharing research science about emotion. I want you to write 2 paragraphs. What did you learn and how are you going to use it in the video? And she breaks things down in much greater detail. We'll start today, I'll get you down in time, we will not finish. She will plug her book initially in the beginning of the video, but then she gets into some really good stuff about emotion and courage and bravery and vulnerability. So, she does use some adult language. Subtitles, right, guys? No. Yes.
She's been 20 years setting courage.
You hear okay in the back. Yeah.
Number 1 bestseller, and her TED Talk is one of the most watched in the world. Please welcome Renee Brown. Hi. Oh my God. And it's so funny, I'm backstage and they're like, can we take your purse? I'm like, no. It's like totally a Texas thing where I always have to have my purse and an exit plan. Like, I'm not sure until I walk out here that I'm actually going to do it. But I am so happy to be with y'all tonight. And I have to say, honestly, the older I get, the more I realize that time is the big, precious, unrenewable resource. Yes or no? Yeah. So thank you for spending it with me tonight. I really appreciate it. I think we're gonna have some fun, talk about some hard stuff, laugh a little bit, and hopefully learn something from each other. I'm always laughing when I'm listening to the bio that, you know, she studies shame, empathy, courage, and vulnerability. You have no idea how handy that comes in my life. So it really, not just in my work, but in my life, because how many of you know, I know, I recognize some of y'all, but so you know, so I know you know me, but how many of you know that I'm super introverted? Like, yeah. Where are all the introverts? Like, it's super handy when I'm traveling because like I'll be sitting next to someone and sometimes I'm in the mood to chat and sometimes I'm not. And so they'll say, so what do you do? And if I'm not in the mood to chat, I'll be like, I study shame, what do you do? They're just like, man. And then recently it was really funny because I was like, oh, I study courage and vulnerability. And the guy was like, oh, opposite ends of the spectrum. And there's that minute where you're like, do I engage or do I not engage? I was like, no, actually they're the same. You know, courage, you can't really be brave without vulnerability. It's like, oh, yeah, no, the opposite is. Now, I can understand why it's complicated for some people to get that. It took me 20 years of trying to disprove that I had to be vulnerable, to be brave. But this came to life for me when we started working at covers for Daring Greatly, which was the first book where I wrote about courage and vulnerability, right? So I say to them, let's make sure we really capture the spirit of vulnerability and courage, that we really have to put ourselves out there. And they're like, we've got it. Do you need to see the cover? And I was like, yeah, I need to see the cover. So they sent me the cover. I've named that piece White Guy on a Wire. I would never buy that book. And I know what was coming next. This would have been the cover of Daring Greatly. I guarantee it, because I go back and I'm like, that's not going to work. I don't want a white dude on the front of the book, period. Especially with like a 1980s briefcase. So then I get an email that says, you all love it. And I'm like, oh,
So
don't use your invisible army with me. Like, I'm a shame researcher. Like, you can't do the we all love it thing with me. Like, I will drill you down so you are crying. And who is the we? Unless you got a mouse in your pocket, that is chicken shit. Like, no we, just like, I love it. So I'm looking like, oh God, we all love it. We all think this is it. We're all excited. We're all behind it. So, you know, right? I'm going to test your empathic powers here. If you're really highly empathic, there'll be no laughter. I was like, what? Okay, so here's the thing, like every woman born in this country, I've had to do my share of body image work. And to the point where I'm dangerous, I like myself so much. Like with everything, right? Yeah. But the chance of my name being under an elephant ass is zero. That is zero. There's zero opportunity for that to happen. So it seems like crazy, right? And you're like, oh, these are just early concepts and people are trying to, but let me show you, this book has been translated to like 32 languages. Let me show you some of the actual covers of how people have conceptualized the relationship between courage and vulnerability. This is the Korean. This is a real actual, the funniest thing about this is it was on my kitchen table in my house when my daughter and her friends got home from high school one day. And her friend was like, oh my God, does your mom Johnny Depp? Which I do not. Okay, I totally love the Swedes. I really do. Like, I just love them. But they got the saddest cover in the whole world. Okay. Why did you do that involuntarily? Because this is a fine internationally for like abuse and neglect. And then we have the cover that completely jacked with my kayaking game because I love to kayak. I'm a water person, right? So when I saw this Lithuanian cover, I couldn't get in a kayak for 6 months. This is not what I had in mind, but this is what people think. Okay. Here's where daring greatly actually comes from. Teddy Roosevelt. So the day the book came out, my husband put pictures of Teddy Roosevelt all over our house because the epigraph, like the quote that kind of is the spine of daring greatly, comes from Teddy Roosevelt. So I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh my God, so sweet. My kids were like, is that Opa? Is that Grandma? So here's the story. How many of you have seen the TED Talk on vulnerability? Okay. I totally wish I could take credit. It was me. It's not that I can't take credit for it, but it was a complete accident. So here's what happened. The curators of TEDx Houston, this was the first people to get the license in Houston, call and say, hey, we got the TEDx license. Would you like to open up TEDx Houston? And I was like, yes, my God, yes, thank you. And I said, what do you want me to talk about? Because normally when you spend your career talking about things like shame and fear and scarcity, people get super prescriptive about what they want you to say and what they don't want you to say. And this guy was like, you know what? Whatever you want. You have fun, just crush it. Just have fun and just whatever you want. I was like, all right, I'll crush it, dude. I'll do that. Okay. So I'm on a flight the day before TEDx Houston, coming home from Maui, where I had spent 4 days with CEOs from Silicon Valley talking about the importance of vulnerability, talking about courage and putting yourself out there. And I turned to Steve, who's my husband on the flight. My kids are passed out. They went with us. And I said, I'm not going to do my normal talk tomorrow at TEDx Houston. And he's like, what? And I said, I'm not going to do my normal talk on variables mitigating self-conscious affect. And he's like, why not? And I said, I'm going to be vulnerable and talk about vulnerability. I'm going to just put my whole self out there. And he's like, why? Why would you do that? Which I think was a legitimate question. I said, because I just spent 4 days with these people trying to convince them to be vulnerable and put themselves out there. And then I'm going to walk on the stage in my academic armor, and like, this is a variable that, because that's my training. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just be vulnerable. So I got up there, and as many of you know, I was vulnerable. I talked about how I'm scared of vulnerability, how I hate it, how when it emerged from my data as the key to wholehearted living and loving, I totally had a breakdown. I went to a therapist with an Excel spreadsheet and said, here's what I need to work on. I have 6 weeks. It took like 8 years. And I did that. And so when I drove home after giving the talk, I just remember thinking that was the worst 20 minutes of my life. Like, I had the worst vulnerability hangover that you can imagine. I thought, thank God it was just 500 people at the University of Houston where I've taught. I know 100 of them. Thank God that's over. I'm going back to the variables mitigating self-conscious affect. That is bullshit. Like, I'm not doing it. So then I find out it's on YouTube. And I'm thinking, did I sign a clearance for that? I'm trying to get out of it. Then they put it on the big TED. And I go to my husband, I'm like crying, we got to stop this, what's happening? And he goes, what are people going to Google? Brene Brown vulnerability? I was just embarrassed at that point that I would be like, they're going to find me. And I was like, you're right, no one's going to watch. So I watch it. And it's like 3 people, 4 people, 5 million, 6 million. And there's this day, you're like, yeah, you're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Shh, that's the difference." And so I'm like, what is happening? And so one day, every news outlet, like in the world, was covering this story, like, who is Bernie Brown and why is Bernie important? I'm like, oh my God. So Steve, like, kids are going to school, Steve leaves for work, and he's like, hey, listen, don't get online, don't read the comments. And I'm like, I've done a lot of my own work. I'm not gonna be reading the comments. Yeah, I'm like waiting for him to back out of the driveway. And then I'm like, oh my God, you can study shame, yet you are never prepared for the terrible stuff online, right? It's the cesspool of humanity on these things. So I start reading the comments, and the best way to describe shame to me is shame is the feeling that you would get if you walked out of a room that was filled with people who know you, and they start saying such hurtful things about you that you don't know that you can ever walk back in and face them again in your life. That's what shame is. And for me, the fear of shame, the fear of criticism was so great in my life up until that point. I mean, just paralyzing, that I engineered smallness in my life. I did not take chances. I did not put myself out there. I mean, I just didn't. If I was going to write an op-ed, I'd send it to the Chronicle, not the New York Times. But I didn't, it wasn't worth it to me to step into my power and play big, because I didn't know if I could literally, physically withstand the criticism. And so I pull up these comments, and there is everything I have feared my entire life. First comment says, less research, more Botox. The next comment says, of course she embraces imperfection. What choice would you have if you look like her? The next comment says, she should wait and talk about worthiness when she loses 15 pounds. I feel sorry for her husband and her children. I hope someone kills her. She's what's wrong with the world today. And I was vacillating between, like, God, just let me die right now. Like, just suck me up earth. And I am prepared for this. I have 3 degrees in social work. I am prepared for this crisis. Like, I am trained for this moment. And finally, I was just like, I am trained for this moment. I am trained for this moment. You're in a shame storm. You're in a shame shitstorm. You're trained for this moment. And then I was like, okay, you know what to do. Peanut butter and Downton Abbey. So I get my serving size of peanut butter, arbitrary. It just says how much you can fit on the spoon and nothing about the size of the spoon, right? And so, and I turn on Downton Abbey, it's 100 degrees in Houston. And I have a thermostat on like 58. And I've got on Uggs and a hoodie and woobies, and I'm like sad. And I'm watching Downton Abbey for 7 hours, I watch it. How many of you have ever done with TV or a movie? Yeah, you're my people. But how many of you have ever done this? I know it's a lot of you too, but fewer of you will confess because it seems crazy. When it's over and you don't want to go back to the real world, like you get out your laptop and then you start Googling, like, where is the Abbey? Who plays this person? Yes, I know, don't lie. Do you fly into Heathrow? How much does it cost? Like, and so then I'm like, yeah, who was president of the United States during this Downton Abbey thing? And so I was like, Theodore Roosevelt, 1910. Then I had a total God moment. There's no other way. This was God, like, descending in my living room in full regalia. I pull it up. The first thing on Google is a speech that Theodore Roosevelt gave in 1910. And I start reading it because, again, I'm doing anything I can to not go back to Houston, Texas in my life with the haters. So I start reading it, and it says, it's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done it different. The credit belongs to the person who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred with dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again and again, and who in the end, while he may know the triumph of high achievement, at least when he fails, he does so daring greatly. There's my life before that quote and my life after that quote, like in really 1 minute. And three things became very clear to me that were really life altering. One, I'm going to live in the arena. I'm going to be brave with my life. I'm going to show up. I'm going to take chances. And here's the thing I can tell you, 20 years of doing this research, we just crossed 400,000 pieces of data. Here's what I can tell you for sure. Be brave with your life. You choose to live in the arena, you're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to fall, you're going to fail, you're going to know heartbreak. It's a choice. It's a choice that I make every day. These are the words I say before my feet hit the floor every day. Today, I'll choose courage over comfort. I can't make commitments for tomorrow, but today, I'm going to choose to be brave, and I know what that means. And it's so funny because I do all this work with leaders and in organizations today, and they'll always say to me, I hear you, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm willing to risk failing. And I'm like, you don't hear me. You're not hearing me. Somewhere between what I'm saying and what you're hearing, you're taking out you're going to fail. Not you're going to risk failure, you're going to know failure if you're brave with your life. The second thing that became very clear to me is that quote was everything I've learned about vulnerability. Vulnerability is not about winning, it's not about losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. And we have asked thousands of people over the last couple of decades, what is vulnerability to you? And the answers range from vulnerability is the first date after my divorce, trying to get pregnant after my second miscarriage, sitting with my wife who has stage 4 breast cancer, making plans for our toddlers, getting fired, firing someone, coming out to my Christian parents, saying I love you first. There's this great story that probably 7 or 8 years ago now, I was in LA and I was doing a talk for a couple of thousand educators. And a young man walked up to me afterwards and he said, hey, do you have a minute? I want to tell you a story. And I said, sure. And he goes, your work changed my life. And I said, thank you. And he said, no, really, my parents sent me your TED Talk and they completely changed my life. And I said, wow, thank you. And he said, in fact, they inspired me to tell the woman that I'm dating that I love her. And I was like, oh God. That's amazing. It's so good to meet you. He's like, no, let me say something. He said, we went out to dinner and I was going to wait until dessert because we get this like chocolate lava cake. And I was going to tell her when the chocolate lava cake came, but I couldn't wait. So I just looked at her halfway through dinner and I said, I love you. And she looked back at me and she said, I think you're awesome. And I think we should date other people. And then she left and got a ride home. He said, so I just got in my car and drove home, and just the whole way home, I just kept saying over and over, fuck Brene Brown, fuck Brene Brown. The worst story ever. He said, then I got home and I just, barged into my apartment, and both my roommates were sitting on the couch and they were on their laptop. And they're like, dude, what's wrong? He's like, I told her I loved her and she broke up with me. And his roommate goes, that was so lame. You can't go after them. When you head toward them, they move away. When you're always moving away, they move towards them. This is the way it works. And he was like, I told her, I was like, oh, what? No, man, that's not who I want to be. I was daring greatly. And he said, both of them just got really misty-eyed and went, right on, man.
Back to this next week.
Her name is familiar.
So the challenge is to write down what you learn, how you can use it, and if you're really brave, to talk about it at the end of the video and how brave you all feel. Not a requirement, we'll say you all feel. But yeah, she's written a lot of books. When I discovered this video, I'm like, this is going in psych.
I feel like I have one of her books or something because her name is